DJ Dewey Rock on the track.
Welcome to Immerse Podcast 360. I'm your host, Maserati. We got a great show lined up for you. We want to thank you for tuning in. No matter where you are in this metaverse world, we're going to continue to bring you the best quality content and formula that we know how. We want to thank you for all the likes, shares, and subscriptions thus far on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and now YouTube. We want to thank you once again for tuning in. We have a very special guest in the building. He's an entrepreneur here in the community. It's Community Garden with Bershell Insurance Agency. He's a graduate of Bershell High School of '02. He was a football player. He's number 46, where he was a member of the football team, baseball team, and the powerlifting team, where he went on to Louisiana Tech, where he was a member in '04 of the National Powerlifting Championship team at Louisiana Tech. He's the proud father of 4, with the oldest now in the Navy. He's married to Miss Latoya Bershell. Ladies and gentlemen, it's none other than Mr. Mario Bershell. How you doing, Mr. Mario?
Doing well. Thank you, Maserati. Thank you, Bastrop. How y'all doing today?
Yeah, Mr. Bershell, we see that the resume says that you were a car dealer for several years, and you were a personal banker. You was at such car dealerships as Lane Hummer and Louisville, Texas, and you was, what was the name of the other one?
Well, it was Louisville, Mitsubishi, and Louisville, Texas, and Jerry Lane Hummer down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Baton Rouge, yes, excuse me, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Mr. Mario, kind of tell the people, first of all, a little bit about yourself growing up here in Scrap City.
Well, I'm the third son of Andrea and Carl Bershell. Bastrop has always been good to me. I had a good childhood growing up. My dad was, he worked in a mill up in Sterlington, but he also was a cowboy. So we grew up pretty much on the rodeo circuit. We would go around as kids, different rodeos, and, had fun. So I was always in diverse areas. So I learned that early.
Right. So, we know that you was quite an athlete in high school, but what was your motivation and drive, being such a man of small stature? What was your drive and your competitive nature as being an athlete coming up in basketball?
Well, I was never told that I was small. Growing up, like I said, my dad was a cowboy, so I've always had to, tote, feed, hay, deal with horses. I was always real strong. So height has never been a limitation to me. So it was one of those things where I always strive to be the best, and I was good at it. It's just once it get to the next level, that's when the height played a factor.
Well, what is it like in a normal day, Mr. Mario Bershell, knowing that you gave up working at Chase as a personal banker for all those years and kind of got started on your own? What has been like a normal day now for Mr. Mario Bershell?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. It is not easy, but at the same time, it's gratifying. So, what I mean by that is, I was at Chase for 10 years. I think I was pretty good at it. He had a good clientele, but I did not only do this, for personal gain or anything like that. I think this is my purpose. I was put here for a reason, to do what I'm doing. And the way things played out, it made that more clear to me. As far as leaving the company, getting into insurance, even to the point of where I'm located, all that happened. It was all God's grace, and it was all purpose.
Well, we know that you persevere, knowing that you have the strength, being a power lifter, not only in high school, but only in college, too, with Louisiana Tech, who was reigning national champions for several years. kind of share with the youth about your strength and conditioning, how the mind overcame your stature and all, and you became one of the strongest men during your class.
Well, that's actually pretty interesting. When we was here, Coach Brad pushed us. He pushed us hard. And not only on the football field, but in the weight room, whether we was just working out for football or we working out for powerlifting. So I had a way of doing things when I got to school. But when I got to Tech, I realized what I was doing, it wasn't wrong, but it wasn't right. It was one of those situations whereas I got stronger with doing less. It was more technique. They stressed technique. And by the time you got to a meet, you was twice as strong as you were when you started.
Right. Well, we know that Coach Brad was very influential to a lot of you guys, and not only were you dominant in powerlifting, but people don't know you were a pretty good football player yourself. Being a small guy, once again, Marsha Green talked about that. But I looked at some of your pictures and I looked at some of the film back on there. Man, you was a beast out there at being a small guy. Tell the youth about your tenaciousness.
Well, Coach Brad taught violence back then. That's for a matter of words. I used to love it, and it wasn't just me that was tenacious. It was the whole team. All us was after it. GATA, and that was the motto, and we lived by it. And if you understand what GATA, you understand. But those are the things that just pushed us and drove us. And we was all motivated to not only be good here in the high school level, but all of us had aspirations of going to the next levels. So we all pushed each other to the max.
Right. So, it's very, the more I dig into the archives and reach out to different players, to seek interviews from, a lot of you guys have a great respect for Coach Bradshaw, and it just sends sentiment to him that he touched a lot of you guys' lives. And I know that being a triathlete like you were, how did Coach Bradshaw approach that, you being so active and being a Cowboy back then, which now we see as a trend? You were some of the pioneers for that when you was playing football.
Well, I should have did what Lil Fig did, but instead I took the other route. I ended up backing away from rodeoing, and my little brother, he kept pursuing it a little bit, but I backed away from it so I can focus on baseball and football. And, think about it in hindsight, I would have kept rodeoing, because that's not only, my family namesake, but I used to love it. It's just the way I grew up. Still love it to this day.
Right. So, when we come back from the intermission, we want to talk about your business venture and how you are tackling that and what things you didn't expect thus far when you open up. I know a lot of people want to hear about the insurance side of it. Some people don't really understand insurance, but when we come back from this intermission, I want you to give us a briefing on what motivated you and why you're doing what you're doing with Bershell Insurance Company. We'll come back after this intermission. It's Bershell Family Insurance Agent with Mario Bershell. Welcome back. We're still here with Mario Bershell of Bershell Family Insurance Agency. This is being brought to you by Involve Social and Civic Club and 720 Gamers Group, and none other than Bershell Family Insurance Agency. Brother Bershell, we talked earlier and we talk often, and I want you to kind of bring the people into your world and where your mind is and what you're trying to bring to the people beyond insurance, but the knowledge you're trying to bring to a community perspective.
What I'm trying to bring to the community is knowledge. A lot of us go through life from the lack of knowing, and insurance is one of those things that we wasn't necessarily taught or brought up to speed on growing up. So our parents and our grandparents, they had insurance, but they never really talked to us about it. So most of us and our kids, we don't have it. And with that being said, nowadays you see people that have to do benefits and things to raise money just to bury their loved ones. And at the same time, it's not that expensive to do to have insurance. And it's not that there's no knock on those people. It's just the lack of knowing. So that's what was my purpose, is to come back to Bastrop and be in position to not only, provide jobs, but to educate my people on what's going on.
Right. No, it's very heartwarming to know that you walked away from a career already established to reestablish, but not just reestablish yourself, but to kind of reestablish what's going on in the community and make insurance more affordable, not just affordable, but give people the guidelines on what needs to be done outside of car insurance. You like you say, you're working on getting into health and various different type of insurance, but explain to the people about the necessity of having insurance and being able to use it as leverage.
Well, there's several different products you can use, and I mean, whether you use a term, whole, or universal life, I mean, they all have several different products, and I can't go into detail without disclosure. But those are things that are integral to life, later on, something to leave your kids. It's not all about leaving your legacy. You want to be able to give your kids a start or a step in life, because a lot of times things go wild after people pass. You have some people that's always been dependent on that main person in their life, whether it's mother, father, grandmother, grandfather. And when they pass, they lost, or they don't have the means to keep up with things the way it was. Well, with insurance, you can set it up to whereas that love, you can be, well, not you, but the loved one to leave you something to get a start.
And that's the thing that a lot of people, especially when it comes to us in the black community, we don't think about longevity, and we don't really think about. I think death is something that we don't want to deal with, and we don't understand the need, not only the need of having it so you don't leave a burden on your family, but also, like you say, leaving something behind that maybe could help start some type of generational wealth. Do you agree with that?
I honestly agree with it, but I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a hard conversation. Right. When I first got life insurance myself, when I was still in banking, that was the hardest conversation I've ever been through. But I had to have that conversation because I was put up to speed on what was going on. And once I figured out what was going on, that's why I want to make sure I come back and be in an area where I can, not only show my people, but teach my people what's going on.
Right. Being that, we're from a small community, how are you tackling, we can say, the naysayers? You know how we are when with our own people. Sometimes we open up business, and how does it feel having some of the pioneers who have their own agencies, as Mr. Caldwell, passing that baton, like you and I talked about? How are you balancing that, the naysaying and seeing the positive of the older generation passing that baton to you?
Well, I will say I've had an interesting life when it comes down to career. So there's a lot of things with naysayers. You have to learn how to, look past it. You're going to have naysayers in any and everything you do. But to have the people that I've looked up to contact me and congratulate me and support me, that felt great. I mean, Milton Caldwell, for example, when I got into it, that was the first person I called. The reason why I called him, because I know this is his line of work, and I wanted his blessing. He didn't have to give it to me, but he did. And, we talked. I picked his brain. I'm calling him again. But those are the things, those are the people that we looked up to. You know, growing up, man, we had so many people here that we could look up to. You know, you had the Milton Caldwells, the John Washingtons, Hamp Lenore's, James Johnson, you know, and the list go on. And I apologize for the ones I may have not said, but those are the people that we looked up to growing up because those were positive black men. And nowadays we have a shortage of that. And I want to make sure that I be in the forefront, you know, and I want other people to come with me because we need to show these young guys that you can be positive and you can make it. You can be successful without selling drugs or stealing, robbing, and killing it. You know, it is out of hand.
Right. You know, that's something that I wanted to ask you about, you know, looking in the community, being out there in the field now, you know, looking at things through a glass and kind of gauging the community now because you want to insure a lot of things. And you see that people need insurance. You see it's help beyond insurance. What do you think is happening in the community where you could personally help make a change?
Well, one thing I'm doing, I'm trying to be visible. You know, I've never been a forefront guy where, hey, guys, I did this. Look at me. Put me in the paper. Put me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, but I don't really be active on Facebook because what I do is at my heart and not for recognition. So there are several things I like to go do, like helping in the community right behind the office. I'll go mow a yard for free. There's no problem to me. I like grass anyway. So it's one of those deals where if you put out positivity will come back.
Right. Now, I like what you're doing with your agency with the pop-up shops. That was something unique to me that you invited me out to, and you had the kids. You didn't free of charge. You allowed them to come out and be entrepreneurs for a day. Kind of explain to the people. I know you mentioned that you want to take that to a higher level. What's your ideas and ideology on that?
Well, the reason why we did that is because a lot of time nowadays you don't have the lemonade stands outside like back in the day. You know, the kids don't really mow yards no more. You know, you have companies for that now. So the kids nowadays, it seems like as if they don't get a job, a real job, they don't know anything to do other than hustle. But it's so much more out there. It's so much more hustle than drugs. And that is one of my specialties. I've always been a small business specialist when I was at Chase. So I built businesses. But at the same time, you have to teach them. And if we teach them early, and it only take a few kids to plant a seed in other kids. So you got one girl selling lemonade. You got another girl selling eyelashes. I mean, it was great product. They knew their stuff. They was on top of it. And not only that, we was partnering with Regions Bank, so they, you know, gave them some information and stuff too. So with that being said, I want that to grow. I would love for that to grow. I want to show these kids it's more to life than selling drugs or doing other, you know, doing things that you don't have to do that'll put you in, give you penitentiary chances, if, you know, to say. But it also to tell you that not to knock college, but everybody is not college material. And just because you're not college material don't mean that you don't have ideas that can make you a lot of money or can get you a great career. You know, it's other things that you can do. Don't give up just because college is not your thing, whether it's financial or it's just not your thing.
Right. You know, it's interesting that you mentioned that about college may not be for everybody. And I know, like I said, we talk often, and you're very interested in helping kids find other ways and other avenues to go ahead and utilize their talents at an early age. And like you said, it's different ways to do it if you introduce them to it. And we want to come back. I want you to share with the people about your motivation, what keeps you pushing to try to improve and be a part of the community. Because, like I say, I know you've been active with the youth all the way back, coaching Pee Wee football. When we come back after this intermission, I want you to share with the people what drives Mr. Mario Bershell. When we come back, we'll be back with Mr. Mario Bershell of Bershell Family Insurance Agents when we return.
And that's what we appreciate you doing, for stepping out, stepping on, trying to do things for the kids in the community. And we appreciate that. Even though I done moved away over in Arizona, but everything remains the same. Because we call it for a change.
Right.
And once you step back and start looking, as they say, get outside the box, with that third eye that you presented, it makes things that much better. And that brings it to the full circle, once again, 360.
Now if you've seen what I've seen, I know you extra game. They're giving catch 20 to life over crumbs of cocaine. How could this happen to us?
Welcome back to Emerge Podcast 360. That was one of our sponsors and one of our very good friends and supporters, Mr. Robert Fitzroy, former school board member here in Morehouse Parish. Shout out to Mr. Fitzroy over there in Arizona. We're still here with Mr. Mario Bershell. Mario, man, I want you to just share with the people what's your ideas and what keeps you driving to do what you want to do with this community.
What keeps driving me is purpose. When I never forget, 2.5 years prior to me leaving Chase, I prayed and he said, stay. I promise you, I had job offers in Texas and other cities. And I'm like, I'm going through the ringer at this point. You know, I was always one of the top bankers in the area, but things career-wise wasn't going the way I thought it would be going at this point. Well, it got to a point where I had to stay or I had to leave. And when I left, you know, I took a couple months to chill and decompress. But when I got into what I was wanting to do is insurance. Now, mind you, this is something that I really didn't think about prior, but I had a lot of my clients pushing me there. You'll be good at this. You'll be good at that. So when I decided to leave Chase, I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and it hit the table. Hit the table a couple times, so I just pursued it. Now, crazy thing is, it seemed like I couldn't get licensed. I couldn't pass the test or anything like that, so I wanted to give up on it, But then it all went through. Then when it went through, everything started to snowball. Now, I'm thinking, no, I think I'm going to try to go get me a for show job. You know, a job where I could just go clock in, do my thing, clock out, and then the next thing happened. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I first got into this, I had no intentions on coming on this side of town. But the way things worked out, God put me on that side of town. And once I got there, man, the elders came in and basically told me the purpose of me being on that side of town. I never knew the history of that side of town. That's literally the black side of town. It used to be self-sufficient over there, that I was told. And, you know, my grandmother, Moselle Moore, she was the first black first black daycare here in Bastrop. Not only was she a daycare, but she housed Grambling graduates to do their student teaching at Morehouse High School and Union High. So that, you know, that's in me. You know, motivation is pushing me to strive for more, strive for greater. And now that I'm seeing the purpose of being here and why I was put over here, because I'm gonna be honest, like I said, I didn't choose to be over here. I was put over here because that's the way God directed it. But now I understand the responsibility of me being over here, and I want to, you know, take heed to that.
Right, and you know what I like about it, Mr. Bershell, about you, that's why I like to say Bershell Family Insurance Agency, because not only do people come in, I see now the clientele picking up gradually, but people just come in there for like to talk to you for everyday advice because you're a good steward of I'll say conversation.
Yeah, I'm willing to speak to anybody. I'm open. I'm honest. I mean, it may not be what you necessarily want to hear, but if it's for you to hear, it's only me and you talking, and it ain't gonna pass us. But I'm always willing to, speak. And if there's anything that I can add to it, I definitely will. Is there any way I can help? I will. I'm not up for sale. Everything don't have a price. If you do things out the kindness of your heart, good things gonna happen.
Right, and like I told you, that's one thing I respect about you. I see the door is always open. You know every person that comes through that door that gets a quote and have you sit there for 30, 40 minutes. It was just they wanted to come in and see what you have going on. But in the meantime, you have good conversation. And even if they decide not to go with one of your plans, you lead them in the right direction. And I think that's what is going to help you be successful in the community because you all about still helping. It's not about you.
Like I tell all my clients, if it don't save dollars, it don't make sense. If I don't have the right product for you, I know somebody who do. And if they don't, hey, I apologize. But I guarantee you, now I'm covered. I carry auto. I carry home. I carry motorcycle, boat, ATV. I have farm products, whether it's livestock, rodeo. I cover commercial auto. Do all commercial business now. So, and life insurance. So we cover all bases so that when you come in, it's a one-stop shop. Excuse me. It's a one-stop shop. So you don't have to shop around. We can shop here. And that way I can make sure that we're doing the proper things. And if it's something that you really don't need or really don't, I'm going to let you know. But if you want it, that's up to you.
Right. And Mr. Bershell, I listen to you all the time, and the things that I see you doing, you allow vendors to pull up, plug in. Hey, we'll talk about it later. You're not really concerned about the money. Like I say, you do the pop-up shops. You're expanding yourself so many ways, and at the same time, you're handling the business of pulling people in to get insured. Because I see people coming in, they coming in just to see what the young black brother got going on, and you're providing good service. How you balancing all that, Mario?
Bastard, I really appreciate it. I love the fact that y'all starting to come out and everything, and I really appreciate all your business. What I do is just take my time. I have to be structured. I've been structured for years now because dealing in banking, you have to be structured because you mess up. It could be penalties or even prison time. So I try not to get ahead of myself. I make sure that if I can't handle it there, I'll let you know. But most of the time, I try to handle things right then, and I like to put my schedule up. And once I put my schedule up, that's for the day.
Right. And people don't really understand. They may see you out moving around, but being around you, I know that you're handling business at every second while you in that office. You're doing something. You never let time elapse. I hear you say, "Oh, I could be doing this. Oh, let me check on this." But you steady talking to people. You steady greeting people. You steady answering the phone. Man, I see you. Are you an octopus, bro? I just want to know that you're a little dude. Are you really an octopus? Because I see you handling so much and you never bother, bro.
Well, it seemed like you never did everything and you never done enough. And I guess that's part of being a business owner. And it's all about striving to make this a brand. This is not a job. This is a career. This is my business. This is my life. And I put my life into it and everything of me going into it. And that includes my finances, my family, my, conversation, my charity, whatever it is, I'm putting it all into it because I know it's all gonna come back.
Right. We're going to take another intermission, but when we come back, outside of your business, what are some of the ventures that Mr. Mario Bershell plans to take on here in the community that will enable him to further introduce and rebrand himself here in Scrap City? We'll be right back with Mr. Mario Bershell after this intermission.
DJ Dewey rock on the track. DJ Dewey rock on the track.
Welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Northeast Louisiana Counseling Service of Bastrop, Louisiana. We're still here with Mr. Mario Bershell of Bershell Family Insurance Agency. Mr. Bershell, what do you see yourself doing outside of your business? What other ventures would you like to take up on to continue to brand yourself and make yourself a staple in the community?
Well, that was always one of the important things for me when I came back home, because I had opportunities to leave. But when I would drive through town and I would see everything kind of going down, Bastrop ain't the same city that I left in 2002. You know, when I came back here, I moved back in 2009. No, I moved back in 2011. And when I moved back, it was a totally different world from what I left. When I left here, it was a vibrant place. But now it's kind of, you know, and I think our mayor's doing a good job to try to get everything revamped and, you know, all the city council and everything. But what I plan on doing is staying in the community, you know, speak to the young men that are listening, you know, help the elderly, feed the hungry, you know, people out, you know, it's different things like that. Just seeing positive vibes without saying, look at me, look what I done.
Right. Now, what would you like to staple yourself, let's just say, from a political standpoint? If it was an office that you could eventually, when it's all said and done, you would like to sit on a board or what have you of that nature, what would you like to do on that scale?
Well, I never throw out a particular position out, but I would love to revamp this city. I would love to revamp this city, man. You go to places like just here in Louisiana, Zachary and Covington and places like that you knew there was old towns and now they up and vibrant and moving. You go to places like Branson that's in the middle of nowhere and the whole city is an amusement park. You know, when I see those places, I be like, why not Bastrop? Why not? Bastrop is a gold mine to me. We right south of the border of Arkansas. I-20 is up the street. You know, we have too many outlets here that I know this city can be great. So I would love to revamp this city.
And what manner when you say revamp, what are some of the things that you would probably may put emphasis in if you had that opportunity?
Well, of course, with any city, you have to start with jobs. You know, you got to have some kind of industry here because, like Grandma used to say, if a man can't eat, he gonna rob. So we need jobs down here. Once we get more jobs down here, bring more restaurants, bring like main event center or something like that. I like the idea that they had about doing a water park and bringing more hotels. Those are great ideas, but it's going to be one step at a time, and I think our mayor is starting that now.
Right, you mentioned the ideas that we hear, and it's kind of thrown out there. And I like what Coach Bershell said. Ideas need to be thought out, not thrown out. And a lot of things are being thrown out there, not thought out thoroughly. What are some of the immediate things that you think, if given the opportunity for it to happen, that may help Bershell to change immediately? What are some of the things you see immediately that need to be addressed?
Well, to be honest with you, the one thing that I said the most, I'm starting to see it. More police presence. And it here lately, I know over the summer, we've seen a great police presence all over the city. I even got pulled over one time. That's fine. That's okay. That's okay. That means they doing their job. They out here. And I mean, that's one of the things that I would have said. But like I said, our mayor's getting on top of it. We done seen police presence. You done seen buildings go down. I would love to see all these, run down houses and buildings, knocked down, because in order to get new, we got to get rid of the old. And we ain't trying to put nobody out. It's just the fact of we can't keep it there. You can't have a pile of trash and say, let's make gold. You got to move it so we can put something new or better there.
Right. And it all goes back to related to what we're trying to open up here with the Immerse Podcast family of passing that baton. And sometimes, like you said, it's not moving anyone out the way. It's just about renewing it. The Bible speaks about renew, reapproach, reapprove, let's do it over again. Not saying that we are taking away from it, but that's upgraded. That's why you have to upgrade your phone, or you're going to get left behind. That's all we want to do. We want to upgrade our community in whatever facet that we can do, whether it be through this podcast, whether it may be through you being an entrepreneur, being a pioneer with that, whether it may be through sports, whether it may be through these kids excelling and finally getting over that hump of being an F school. It's so many ways that we can change this narrative. Before we get out of here, Ms. Bershell, where do you see Mario Bershell in the next 10 years as it stands for being a pure pillar in this community?
Well, in the next 10 years, I hope to be one of the pillars like the ones I looked up to. Those guys, even, before some of them's passing, we spoke, like I know me and John Washington used to speak all the time. Every time I saw him, and he would speak things to me, but those people was not only important to me because I saw a positive role model, but they would speak to you and tell you things that stayed with you, like even with church. I grew up in West End Church of God in Christ, but my mom was raised up in St. John Baptist Church. So we would go there for different functions, vacation Bible school, different church functions, but them and St. Mary's always pushed education. They made sure that we always, no matter what, we need to be educated. Education is so important, and people don't understand it. And they think it's just a game just to get through high school. No, it is important for life. You don't have to go to college to use education. Education will get you through regular life.
Right, and that's a very important thing that you mentioned right there about certain churches and communities or stressing education, and that's what I think we don't want to push these kids nowadays. We're being too passive, and we're not introducing them and let's just say forcing them to do what they need. A base. You must be an insurance agent. You need a base of education. And these kids thinking that rapping and even TikToking, they come to that point where they think this is the way out. Do you agree that we got to give them some type of base? May it be spiritual, may it be like you're saying, give them an entrepreneur mind of you can be creative and start out straight out of high school. Do you agree that we need to give them some type of base, Mr. Bershell?
I agree. I absolutely agree. They need some type of base, but we need to take these kids by the hand. You know, a lot of times they only doing what they've always seen, you know, and they're always watching videos and YouTube, TikTok, things like that, and they're not seeing anything other than that. They're going to do what they're telling them to do because it's programmed at this point. But at the same time, if they see people out doing positive things, some going to trigger that, hey, if I do this, that, and the third, good things can happen. I can get to this place. You know, networking is way bigger than just knowing people. It can get you in places. You can do things, you know, because who you know. And it ain't, like I say, you have to be in the right place at the right time to do the right things, you know. And you don't have to, everything ain't thugging and drugging. And when you see these rappers and all these people like that doing, that's a image. That's not them. That's a character. Those real people don't even act like that. I've met a lot of them. They don't act like that. They don't even wear the jewelry like that. Half of the cars are leased. You know, it's things like that they're not going to tell you because they got to make their money. And I agree. Do your thing because that's what they do. But at the same time, we living in a 2-bedroom house trying to buy Balenciagas and Jordans. Like, at some point, we have to back off the material things as much. I'm not finna sit here and act like I don't wear Polo and Levi's. I do. But at the same time, if I don't have the means to get it, I'm not going to get it. It's not that important to me. The important thing is to keep a roof over my head, keep food in my belly, and keep my kids safe. And keep insurance.
Most definitely the insurance, Brother Shell. And you know, I'm so great that you came to Immerse Studios. You had us in your place, and now you came to visit us in our place. And we greatly appreciate you for your sponsorship and everything you do for the Immerse family. Before we go, what would you like to tell the community before we get out of here?
Well, I'd like to tell the community, man, thank y'all for all y'all support. I really appreciate it. It has been a hard thing to, you know, start something new, but at the same time, man, I love y'all. I thank y'all for believing in me and trusting in me for your insurance needs. And to the young kids, hey, keep striving, keep pushing.
Well, Ms. Bershell, we greatly appreciate you stopping through, and we want to thank you guys for stopping through. Hey, this is your boy Maserati. This has been brought to you by Involved Social and Civic Club, 720 Gamers Group, Stepping Stones LLC, and shout out to Bershell Family Insurance Agency. Until next time, y'all stay involved, stay encouraged, and most of all, y'all stay immersed. We out of this thing.
I was raised in the ghetto. I've been to the bottom. Ain't nothing at the bottom for me. Only tell all my problems.